Creator source of all that is, I ask to be a channel to bring forth the most beneficial messages and energy today and always. I just felt guided to say my prayer a little bit here with you today because there are lots of different messages and energies coming in connected to the uncensoring of our essence. And we've been talking about it here, and I did a member video last night, and I did make it available for individuals to purchase if you would like, because it went very swiftly into the messages connected to the uncensoring of the masculine and the uncensoring of the feminine. And it was quite beautiful how the whole message opened up and played out in such a mirroring fashion. Also, even if you're not in an actual physical world connection with another, this goes so deeply into our internal union energies, or vice versa. If you've been working on your internal union energies, you may start to notice these expressions showing up in the external through relationship. And as we take this space and time and grace to uncensor parts of ourselves, it gives us the space to embody more clearly and deeply into all of who we are. And this has been coming up because it feels connected to parts of ourselves that we didn't even know were censored, and also parts that may have been censored through the ancestral lines or censored through just fitting in with the world, or even places where we censored ourselves to work on one aspect of ourselves, but maybe we closed off another. And that's okay. Sometimes we need to focus our energy on one thing, but then we reach a point in our growth where it's time to open up back to what we were doing, uncensor that part, and then work more deeply within that. So, this uncensored energy is going into multiple different areas. But what came up in that specific video yesterday was actually connected to where the masculine energies, sacred sexual energy was becoming uncensored. And the messages touched on how the masculine is getting bored with the way that they have been operating in their sexual energy, the way that they were taught, or the way society has conditioned the masculine energies, regardless of how we identify, to connect with sex or sexual energies. And it's actually becoming quite suffocating. And there's a realization that there's so much more to their sexual energy or sexual creative potential. And also, it opened up into the soul merge connection with the feminine. Again, this is something you can feel internally or in a shared space connection with another, depending on your circumstances, or absolutely both, depending again on what you're working with and what you're comfortable focusing on. All perfect, all okay, no matter what it is. So, also, then we went into the feminine energies, and what came forward was that the feminines are also finding that what they've been working on, and it felt more connected to the voice or their services or their offerings, their creations in the world, that there was actually more that wanted to uncensor in the feminine. And it came through that there's actually unknown gifts, unknown talents, unknown abilities that may have been hidden until the right timing and are now ready to open. So some of you may have been feeling some of or all of this. Again, regardless of how you identify, it would be really appropriate if you were feeling both sides of this with both your sexual energies activating into the spiritual sexual energies and your creation energies opening up and activating into opening more gifts and abilities. They're not really separate, but they can be at the same time, depending again on your capacity and what's appropriate for you to focus on. But the way that it came in was so beautiful. I want to show you the first cards that came in for the masculine and the feminine. Two different decks. But the masculine got the Horseman Herald of Change. So clearly a rider on the horse. And this was from the Shaman Dream deck. And then for the feminines, from the Priestess of Light, we have Shamanic Journey, Purpose, Attunement, Vision Quest. And there she is on this lovely horse. So, of course, we've been talking so much about this fire horse energy and just the horse energy in general, representing freedom, representing that capacity to be in the physical world and bridge the higher energies, but just a very embodied earthly energy. And at the same time, deeply connected to those spiritual energies. And I just thought it was so beautiful how synchronistic it was. And then with the other cards we pulled, there was more synchronicity mirror points as well. It really felt like an inner union, sacred union message. If any of you are interested in that, it'll be in the pinned comments. I'm touching in on it here because I'm going to do a session today for the uncensored energies. And I really like to talk about those here so that you can work with the energies. And then if you want more supports, the recorded energy sessions are available. So that will also be in the pinned comment, and I'll put it over in the post tab when it's available. Okay. So yes, what I want to do is actually go deeper now into some of these messages. Right now, as we speak, what is opening up? I want to, like those messages yesterday spoke about the masculine and feminine, what was happening within each. And then there was a final message that connected with, okay, like where is this headed? And we landed, there was a lot of opening energy. I'm just sitting here remembering back to the message, and it closed out with this Knight of Wands energy. And it was, of course, again, another horse. And so I want to check in with this, like, where are we evolving into as we uncensor the creation energy, the sexual energy, the expression. Of course, this is very much a sacral chakra energy as I sit here realizing I'm dressed in orange today myself. But I also feel such a deep connection to the voice, the expression. So it doesn't have to be limited to the sacral chakra or the voice or the verbal communication expression, but think of this in terms of all of our creation energy, all of our aspects, all of the ways that we express our energy, our love, our creation, and our gifts in the world, and even how we express that to ourselves for ourselves. And there's just this, as I'm holding this, I feel the drum beat. I feel the heartbeat of Mother Earth. I feel a deep energetic connection connected with the message that came in yesterday around be in this world and be of it. And that energy was coming in a way to is an expression of the evolution as we are actually embodying the new ways of being. And one of you in the comments, Samantha, thank you so much. I hope you don't mind me sharing. But there was this really beautiful quote that she shared, which reminded her that be in this world and be of it, be true to the essence that is you. And again, how can we be more uncensored? I think that's really what it is how can we take all of the parts of ourselves, everything that we've experienced up to this point in this world, in everything we've been learning in the higher dimensions and the higher frequencies and with our higher self, taking all of these spiritual concepts and actually living them in a practical, physical world way, while not censoring parts of ourselves, while actually being all of who we are and being comfortable within that. And what I'm sensing as I say this is as we, over this next year and beyond, of course, but as we harness this full true energy, as we connect with the horse and the freedom and the fire and the creation energy, and just let it move through us and work with us and allow ourselves to activate, thaw out, uncensor, and harness all of our own creation energy, right? And then allowing that to deepen and uncensor more of the inner union energies. And that's what a part that felt important. It was like, as the masculine was uncensoring all of their blocks, right? Like where potentially we've separated our spirituality from our sexuality as humans, or for the feminine message that came through where we have silenced or censored our intuitive gifts or creative abilities to fit into the world and separated our creation from our day to day work or our day to day life. But in truth, none of those are separate. Our sexuality is our spirituality, our creation energy is our life force, it is our purpose. So, in truth, in the energies, none of those things were ever separate. But we were taught to compartmentalize and separate and censor, and this is what is wanting and needing and coming to the surface. And that was the energies. It's like reaching this point where the energies are like wanting to explode forth in the sense like we just can't censor who we are anymore. We've grown too much, we know too much, we've seen too much. And just plain and simple, we have way too much to offer. And Mother Earth wants nothing more than for us to be fully present and embodied in and on our world, on our planet. Okay. So I am now going to get a couple more cards. I feel guided to go into the smaller deck, the Light Seers Tarot, and let's see where this is headed. I know in the session that I'm going to address just anywhere we're censored through the ancestral lines. And of course, any of you who have done any of those sessions with me, you know, once we get in there, it just opens up in whatever way the energy wants to take us for the highest good. But I still feel guided to pick more messages here and let's see where things are headed with this as we move through the uncensoring, as we have that intention to uncensor ourselves. Well, I'll say this. The Empress came out clear as day. And we have also been talking about the feminines embodying into that sacred feminine Empress energy, right? The more and more all of these messages, all of these energies, that embodiment onto the earth, into the body, and holding all of who we are, or at the very least, because we're always growing, creating the space and the intention to open up and embody all of who we are. And again, the way that we treat ourselves is how we're going to treat our connections, our relationships, our creations. And so we want to have patience through our processes, okay? And with this Empress, there was a stack of cards that fell face down on the table, and I do feel guided to take them. So, where is this heading as these energies open? Okay, we have the Seven of Cups, the Ten of Cups, the Nine of Swords came out. That was in last night's message, and the Four of Wands, which, like I said, this Knight of Wands has that Four of Wands energy right within it. So let me see. Okay. As I open this, because it felt like an accordion where the message wanted to open. And this feels like as we choose to clear the confusion and uncensor ourselves in what's coming through, is for those of you who may not be aware that any of you is censored, that's okay. This is kind of the fun, exciting part, not about work. This is about, oh my gosh, there's more of me to learn, there's more of me to open. And yes, I choose that path of openness, of flow, of finding out all of who I am. Okay. And this, what I'm seeing is it's opening that flow to the Ten of Cups. You see how it clicks right in? Remember like a week or so ago, I was talking about the blue standing out. Wow, it's like really hitting. He's even wearing the blue shirt. So this feels like it could be the masculine or the feminine. Again, these messages feel very connected to all who resonate. And as it clicks in, it's like opening that Ten of Cups into the physical world, which of course is that manifested emotionally available, beautiful connection, family, lived experience, right? And so as this opens, this is where it may activate what I'm feeling with this is actually what it's activating is similar to what came in yesterday's member video, which was it's activating the memories and the energies of what could have been. Maybe what we thought was lost, what we've grieved, or what we even let go of, what we thought may not come forward, or it was too intense to process. But what's different about this energy this time is that it's supported by that divine higher love, by the creation energy, the sacred sexual energy, and the opening and the uncensoring of not only the pain, but all of the gifts that go with what created the separation pain in the first place. So, with the support, the love, and the divine energy, actually, all of a sudden, remembering that the connection and the source and all of the truth was always there, it was always present. The love was never gone. In truth, it becomes much easier to process the pain, right? Because the pain was so intense in the past because it felt that the love was being ripped away. But this is a processing of the pain in a way that it can be swept out and dissolved and cleared because the love is rushing back in, my loves. So, what I'm seeing is it's sort of like unclogging the pain, right? It's even uncensoring the pain, but in a way that's so the love can get back in. Okay. Internally, externally in your relationships, again, anywhere you're uncensoring yourself and letting the love back in, letting the creation energy back in, you're also opening that potential to open that space with another or others, right? A partnership, a community, however you choose to do that. And again, there it goes. It leads to that Four of Wands, which, similar to the Ten of Cups, is that happy connection, the marriage card, this activation of those true energies. To me, this right now is very much giving that soul merge essence. And it's coming forth I love this energy so much right now. For those of you who resonate or who have gone through a soul merge with another, remember the bliss, the beauty, the absolute gorgeousness of feeling all of that potential, your own potential, the potential with another, and just absolutely how amazing that was, right? And then, of course, that's where we talk about how painful it was when it was gone in the physical and you feel like, oh my gosh, I did something wrong, right? But we know now it's really where you're just learning, clearing out the toxicity and making space for that love to land and be sustained in the physical. And what I'm feeling is this next level of uncensoring for many of you is going to be the reunion of the soul merge energies within, feeling that energy pulsing through you on a more consistent basis and having the capacity to hold and sustain it and live your life day to day. My loves, that is you. That is you, your essence. And yes, also experiencing that with another is a beautiful gift. But it's coming through that this is part of that, that capacity for you to hold those soul merge essences within your being and still stay tempered and balanced and harmonious and not need to make it into something specific other than feeling that pure, true, unconditional love into you, through you, and expressed out of you in whatever ways feel aligned. And this, I can feel it, and I'm going to say it. Yes, as you're experiencing that for you without needing to attach it to a story, it allows what's truly aligned and magnetic and electric and drawn to you to be brought to you. Okay, my loves. And a big part of it is that capacity to not need to control the story, to surrender to the higher power, right? Just like we talked about divine feminine, you've surrendered, now what, right? In that recent video, this is a deeper level of practicing that. Yes, with your connection to divine masculine. Yes, with your connection to divine feminine, your connection to another, right? Or others, because I know that I've talked to many of you that are like, I'm okay if it doesn't look a certain way or it's not a certain person, but I'm lonely and I just want connections and relationships and friendships. Any and all of those expressions of community, unity, connection with others, friendships, partnerships, all sacred union, divine union, however you want to express your love, your creation, your sexuality, allowing this to activate fully and completely within you, and then allowing it to be the guide of what draws in what's aligned with you, just like it did before. But now this is a more transformed version of you. So it's going to be a different experience in a very beautiful way. Okay, my loves. So, wow, there really was a lot more that wanted to come through. I was just going to go into reporting the session, but I was really, really guided to acknowledge how potent and powerful this energy is right now, and how we have such a clear opportunity to harness all of who we are, to uncensor ourselves, to get all of the horses on the chariot aligned, right? And moving in the same direction within, and then allowing that to bring in others next to us. Okay. All right, my loves, I'm going to leave it here. And again, stay tuned for the uncensored session. If you don't see it in the pinned comments, it's just because I'm actually recording it, but it will be available today, the day I'm posting this. And you can always find it over on my harmonioushearts.life store. So rest assured it will be available, and I will see you soon. And as always, if you want to work on these energies in a more private session, I have one-on-ones available, and you can find everything in that comment. All right, my loves, take care. Peace. Sending you so much love. Bye.